Hi everyone, welcome to another heart themed colouring video. Today I have found a picture in Botanicum by Maria Trolle, and this is lovely heart-shaped design with the bleeding hearts flowers and some other spring-like florals, and we even have some little eggs in the nest. I thought it was really good fun. So let's come in a bit closer. What we'd do is we'd do some, we'd come in a little nearer. We'll start at the bottom, I think. It's probably better to start at the top. We're going to start at the bottom and choose some greens for our leaves. I'm just going to be using this set, so I've come in a bit close, but I think that's in focus. So these are the Arteza Premier Pencils. You don't have to use this set, excuse me, but I just thought I haven't used them for a while. I don't think I have anyway, so I'm just grabbing them. And my first one is this one, which is A266. I'm going to look it up. It's called Forest Green. It's so small you can't see the name on it. I've got a lot of really short ones in this set. And what I'm going to do is start at the bottom of these particular leaves and just really have some intense green down in the bottom, and then less as I go up towards the tip of the leaf. I'm just trying to quite work out where that leaf begins and ends. I think that is a bit of that one, so I think it just goes up here actually. And we will be using another colour on the tips, I think, a little bit, just to brighten them. So I'm not too worried about getting a complete coverage of pencil. Just getting a little bit down, just fading it up. Ready? So there's quite a few of these. It's going to be the same thing for each of them. So you can join me. Find just a dark green. If you wish, or any colour, it doesn't have to be green. I'm struggling with not doing green leaves sometimes. My colour cube cards are helping a lot actually. That leaf is part of that, so we're not doing that one, we're just doing these ones for the minute. Because what I do with my colour cube cards, you don't have to do it this way, but to challenge myself, I grab a picture, grab a card, the next card in the box usually, unless I'm doing a buddy colour and my buddy picks one, but so then if there's no green and I've got leaves, I just have to find a way, and it's challenging but fun, and it's helping me step out of my comfort zone, which was what I was really hoping it would do for me. I know it's not how everybody uses them. Some people like to just look at their picture and pick a palette they think is going to work for their picture, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And just do it the way you want to do it. There's no rules, there are instructions to sort of help you have some ideas as to how to use them, but really it's however you wish. It's like a colouring page. You don't have to colour it in a particular way. You know, and just because, for example, there's some eggs in this nest, you could colour over those and put put something else in the nest, some diamonds, I don't know, just guessing. There's a really pretty picture on the next page I'm looking at, which I shouldn't be, but I'm just wiping my nose and getting distracted. And it's a bunny with some painted like Easter eggs in a nest. It's going to be a fun one. It's not Easter yet though. So we're concentrating on Valentine's at the minute. It's the 1st of Feb today, and I'm getting a little bit ahead, which is always nice. And it means that what I tend to do is I get ahead because it makes me feel more relaxed about making sure I've always got a video for you. And I don't want to be stressed about that. So for me, the way to do it is to get ahead, and then I'm chilled. And I know other people don't do it that way, and it would make other people feel stressed, but for me that's the way that makes me feel most chilled. I'm feeling chilled today anyway because I've just done my yoga and I've been breathing, and it was balance, oh my. I'm so glad I wasn't in a live class. I would have fallen over and knocked someone flying. I was terrible. We were doing the called an oak tree or something. I'm so new to yoga. I've only done 6 days of it. I don't know the names of all the poses, but where you stand on one leg and you bend at the knee of the other leg and put it onto your knee. So one leg's straight and the other leg is, I can't do it, your foot is, it's like a triangle like that, so your foot's on your knee. No, it's no good. That's not really helping, is it? Anyway, standing on one leg can be enough of a challenge for me without having to try and balance my foot on my knee. Luckily, I was doing it in the sitting room, so every time I wobbled I could grab the sofa. I didn't end up in a heap on the floor. But I think it's going to be a long time before I would ever have the confidence to do a live class, but I don't need to. I'm getting a lot of fun, a lot of benefit. I feel like I'm growing. It sounds really weird, like physically growing taller because of all the back elongation you have to do. And I think that's so really good. And my core is, I can feel it. Let's just say it's definitely getting stronger, which is good. Now what I'm going to do now before I switch colours is I'm just going to emphasise the darker areas at the bottom of the leaves that I really want to show up, because I think I've been jabbering on over here and not concentrating so much on what I'm doing. Oh, excuse me sniffing. I'm going to blow my nose in a minute. Sorry, it's because I went out shopping, groceries, and then came back and did my yoga right away, which was really good because I've got sciatica at the minute, and if I stand up too soon, when I stand up I can't walk, it hurts in my sort of thigh hip area, so I feel really stiff. So I thought if I go for a walk and then do my yoga straight after. So I went for my walk, bought my groceries, choosing my next colour while I'm jabbering on. I think we'll go quite light. I think we'll go mint green. And then as I was putting away my groceries, I boiled the kettle, I made a coffee. Then I did my yoga, it's 20 minutes, and then I drank my coffee, and then I got distracted by looking at a few comments on videos and then came through and did this. So with these leaves I'm putting more colour on the tip and then reducing it towards the base, and then it effectively blends the two colours together. You can take this one all the way down to the base if you want to, it's up to you. I'm just doing it each one and deciding depending on how neatly it's blending, really. So yeah, and my legs felt fine because I'd sort of almost warmed up while I was walking. Didn't help my balance much, but you know. But I think it's really important as we get older to try and make sure our balance is good, because falling over when we're older is not good, or having a fall as people call it when they get really old. My mum's like, you know, my mum is, what was she, 76, I think? I've just remembered it's my dad's birthday. I need to phone him up. Hang on. I am back. Unfortunately, he wasn't in. I just remembered that he was going to his badminton group today. Whoops. Never mind. Anyway. It meant I haven't forgotten what I was saying. I was saying my mum is 76 and she can't get up off the floor. So if she falls, she can't get up, which is, I would be petrified, to be honest, if I was in that position. But I know quite a few people are, sometimes, and many times due to no fault of their own, just, you know, a lack of mobility. But I want to do everything I can to try not to be like that. And I'm thinking if I can improve my balance and my flexibility as I get older, that's going to be brilliant. But you know, I'm a recent yoga convert and I may change my mind. I'm all enthusiastic because I'm a newbie, so we'll see what happens. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing with my leaves. So we've got a couple of layers of colour. It isn't massively neat, but you know what? I'm not that worried. Now, these leaves, I think, are for this. So I'm going to take this green up here. I think I'm going to use the lightest green first in this case, because I don't think I want this frame to be really dark. So I'm going to come out a little bit and do the greenery on the frame. That's a bit extreme, isn't it? There we go. And with this mint green, and then I might add some of that darker green later. I can't even remember what it was called. Was it jungle? Is it the jungle green? No, it's a forest green, sorry. The jungle green isn't that shade. So I'm going to just fill this in. I want to make it quite solid and defined, because it is like our frame of our picture. So I'm just, you know, really putting down a fairly thick layer all the way around, and then we can get stuck into some of these pretty flowers. Now this is a bleeding hearts plant. I've got one in my garden, so I know they're probably not always the same colour. Mine is a pink on this part, and then this little piece that comes through is white. But I'm thinking that I don't want to do a background on this picture. I'm not in the mood for a background today. So I am going to adapt my flower so that it's not white. And there are several options available to me, and I will tell you what I'm thinking. I am thinking I could do a dark pink piece on the top, and then the little bit coming out could be light pink rather than the sort of white. That's one option that's going through my head. Another option is to maybe use a purple, either for this piece or for this main piece, and we can have purple and pink together, which is always a very pretty combination, and it will look very what's the word I'm looking for, fuchsia like. So we could do that, or we could just go completely out of the box and do them orange and purple, but no. Horrifying. No, we won't do that. Black? No. Brown? No. No. I think I am going to try and find two shades of pink. A very pale and a darker. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that will look most like the actual plant, which will sit better with me in my head, but it will still show up, so it will sort of address the issues really. But oh, I do need to say something about these pencils. I have said, I just try and remember to say it whenever I use them. These Arteza Premium Pencils vary. Some of the pots of the Arteza Premium have different colour pencils in than other tubs. So I don't know whether the tub that I've got here is a more modern tub or an older tub or a UK tub or a US tub, or what, you know, why they vary. But I don't have the same colours in my tub as some other people do. So I'm going to use this. This is the forest green. I'm going to use it on the tips of these leaves and just fade it down. So I am not sure whether you will have exactly the same shades of colour as me either. So that might confuse you a little bit. Also, the shades, the colours aren't the same as the ones in the Arteza Expert, I don't think. So if you're trying to colour along with those, you may find you can't match. But I can't remember. I mean, I've got a lime green in this, for example. I don't have one of those in my Expert set, but I haven't got the full set. There's a 120 set. I've got a 72, which is lovely. But it might mean that some of them are missing, if you understand what I mean, because it's not the full set. I'm going to take this around the edge. Not all the way up the leaf, but just on the stem bits. So I'm going to go all the way around the stem. Almost on top of the black line. that. It's a bit fiddly. May need quite a sharp pencil. I'm going to resharpen mine. I'm a bit worried that if I keep sharpening it, I'm going to run out of pencil. It's a little small, isn't it? I think we'll be all right, at least for this page. So I'm not going to use this green for the other greenery. I shall swap it about a bit, mix it up a bit, I think. Sometimes I like to do the same green throughout if I've got a big mix of different flowers, but we haven't here. We've got basically our bleeding hearts. I'm thinking I'm going to do these as bluebells. They could be snowdrops, but I don't want to do white flowers. And these are grape hyacinths, I'm thinking, and then we've got our eggs, of course, to do. So yeah, this is, I'm only going to need this for this last bit and on this one. So I'm going to go all the way around on the top bit and then come back along the bottom. You may struggle to see because I think when I've got a smaller pencil, my hand has to be closer to the page. It makes it a little harder to see, but I hope that you can understand what I'm doing without necessarily having to watch. And if you're colouring along, you need to look away at your book anyway. I found quite a few different heart pictures to do for you, which is good fun. I'm not sure if I'll do all of them. It will just depend on how long they take, really. But we'll see. My husband said, you need to leave some for next year. I suppose so. Right, that's me done with that. You might not want to bother with the, with the dark line on the outside of the stem. I like doing that. For me, it finishes it off a little bit, but you don't have to. You do what feels right for you. Now I'm trying to look for a really dark pink for our bleeding hearts. And I'm looking at these two pinks. I have this is a crimson red. Although it's a pinkish, I think it is too red. So I'm going to, excuse me, I've got hiccups. I'm going to use the magenta. Okay, so put the crimson away for the outsides. Okay, so this is a dark pink. I'm just going to get going. I'm doing quite an even layer at the minute and thinking about whether it's going to be darker anywhere. I'm thinking I quite like it quite pale in that tip. Maybe a bit darker here. I think that might work. And so I'm colouring the whole of it apart from that little teardrop part, which is going to be in our pale pink. I think I've picked which one I'm going to use. So I don't know, I can't remember if I have a magenta in my Arteza Experts. Some sets of pencils I can remember all the colours really well, but it depends how long I've had them for, really. I used to, you know, my very first set were my Staedtler Ergosofts. I don't know the numbers very well, but I know what the pencils look like and which blend together well and that sort of thing. But my second set were my polychromos, and so I know those really well too. But after that I started accumulating quite a few different sets, and that was when I sort of lost the ability to remember, because there's so many. Because I've got Castle Arts Soft Touch, Castle Arts Metallics, Pastel Tint, Castle Arts Gold, and a few other sets of castles. Then I've got Arteza Premium and Arteza Expert, and I've got Prismacolor, I've got Giorgione, I've got Derwent Lightfast, and so it goes on. Black Widow. And it's absolutely lovely to have so many sets to choose from, particularly when you have the colour cubes, because sometimes you just, you know, you need a big choice of colours. Sometimes you can, of course, just do the best you can with what you've got, and sometimes I do that. Sometimes I change a colour slightly because I just don't have one, that sort of thing. But it's lovely to have a big range, and you know, but I think if you've got a really small budget and you don't know what to go for, to be honest, rather than buying lots and lots and lots of budget pencils, I would save up for one expensive set that has open stock, so you can replace them as they run out. And that's what I would do. But it's difficult if you've got a set that you can buy open stock, say from your local art shop, then you can just build up your collection slowly over time. That's what I started doing with my polychromos. So my first purchase of polychromos was a set of 36. I couldn't justify buying a bigger set, so I bought those, and then I started buying a few odd ones here and there when I went to my local art shop, so I would fill in some of the colours that I felt was sort of missing from the 36 set. And but eventually my husband was like, I'm going to buy you the 120, so he did. So now I've got quite a few odd ones to replace, but of course my favourites always run out and I have to buy replacements for those. And the ones that I rarely use, I've got some of them, I've got a few of, you know, but it's okay. So but I do replace them with open stock. So there are some, because I bought some open stock, I had some in my 36 set, I had a 120 set. I've got several, like 2 spares of some colours that I rarely use. Now I'm picking my lightest pink for the, and this is, for me it's a peony pink, okay? It's quite delicate. I'm going to try and just fade it towards the bottom, like that. I want to not put too much on because I want you to be able to see that it's a different colour. And you can anyway, but I want it just to look delicate. It's not always easy colouring with a delicate touch for me, but I'm doing my best. Now this is split into several bits. I'm going to ignore that and colour it all the same colour, just because I want them all to look the same. And often you would find one bit's white and one bit's pink or something like that, but as I say, it's going to all be the same. Now I sometimes get people, I did this morning, asking me which set do I prefer, X or Y. It's a really difficult question for anybody to answer. I'm going to do the B. Just picking some colours. What I would always advise is that you think about what you're looking for in a set first. Right, some of the B, I'm going to do one stripe in yellow, one stripe in brown, okay? So I'm going to start with my darker yellow, which this is the turmeric yellow. Oops. And I'm going to give him a yellow face, I think. So I'm going to do some areas a little bit darker, like here, and then fade it in a bit. With the stripe it's a bit easier, you make it darker there and fade it towards the middle, like that. And then take your lighter yellow, which is the lemon. It's so personal with pencils. Firstly, think about your budget. What can you afford? Do you want to be able to replace your pencils when they start to run out? And if so, you need one that has open stock. That's an easy start. I'm not sure which of these is darker. Hang on. I've got a scrap bit of paper. That one. Okay, so this is my ginger. Think about the packaging as well. I like my pencils in a tin. Some people don't, they always take them out and just use them in a pencil case, it doesn't matter. But I like tins, so if it comes in a tube like this, it's a bit of a pain. Spread them out all over the desk. This is camel brown, and make a big mess. It's basically what I do. So that's, you can see I've left a bit of white just to look like, make him look like it's a bit shiny. I could have come in a bit closer. It's a bit late now. Now for the wings, I'm going to use a glitter. I'm going to use, is that the one I want? Yeah. I'm going to use a Sakura Gellyroll glitter pen. It's number 700. And I'm just going to go over the whole wings with this. No colour first, just shine. Price, yeah, is, you know, what else was there? Oh yeah, colour range. What's your favourite colour? What would you think you would like to have a biggest range of colours of? And use that as a guide as well. Right, let's move down and do some more flowers. Let's do the bluebells. Now I think bluebells are slightly purpley blue. I think this is the closest colour I can find. It's the Mykonos blue. That's what I'm going to use. I'll just give it a sharpen. So for my bluebells, I'm going to make them darker at the top and a bit lighter towards the base, as if the petals just fade with colour as you go down. As I said, I'm sure these are supposed to be snowdrops, but if you want to colour them as snowdrops, you'll need to do a background so that the white shows up. What I would suggest is to do a blue background like sky, although you've got these grape hyacinths which are going to be purpley blue. Do a really light blue, like what we got in this set. This one, maybe the aqua blue, or the peacock blue. And those are the only two light blues in this set. Let's do a light blue sky, and then you can do your flowers and shade them with a very light grey. I think the elephant grey is probably, it's probably the best one. Or you could use, with snowdrops, you can sometimes use a bit of green. Sometimes they have bits of green in the white flowers. But I've just made it really easy on myself to do them blue. And what else was I say if you were choosing between pencils? Look online at reviews. Look at swatch charts so you can see what the range of colour is, and think about what people are saying about how well they blend, how much they break when they're being sharpened, you know, what they're like, what the customer service is like can be important. If you're buying from Amazon, obviously it doesn't necessarily make any difference, but if you're buying directly from the manufacturer, then you want to think about that as well. So there are quite a few things to think about. I often like the idea of buying Derwent because they're UK based and I'm in the UK. It's nice to support UK business, but they're so expensive. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, they're not as expensive as Caran d'Ache. Caran d'Ache in the UK are just mega bucks, and I think it's import duty. The same as Holbein, they're really expensive too. But the Derwents, because, you know, there's no import duty, they're made in the UK, and yet they are so expensive, and they break quite easily, like a Prisma. I find they break as easily as that, and they're sort of like, ooh, not happy with that really. Now stems and are these leaves the hyacinths or the bluebell leaves? I'm trying to think about the actual plants. Both have leaves. I'm gonna make these leaves the bluebell leaves. I am going to use initially this colour, which is 265, which is the emerald green, and I may add in another colour after, but I will just see how it looks. So I'm just going to do all these stems, just block out the colour really. They're quite thin. It's always quite nice for a stem to stand out quite well, and it's not really enough room to do very much else with them. But yeah, it's really difficult. You know, I know as soon as a new book or a new type of pencil comes on the market, you see the videos, people are trying it out, you want it, and you know, you need to be careful. Think about your budget. Set yourself a budget even. Some people don't do that. It's important because obviously we can't heat our house, or well, we can with pencils. We don't want to burn them. We can't eat them, definitely not. So you need to think about you know, your other needs first. If you've got pencils, then is that a bit of this? I think that is. I'm just gonna leave that for a minute. Leave, excuse the pun. And I'm fading it up towards the tip. I'm just going to do this one now with the forest green at the base, like we did before. Fade it up and grab the what was this? The mint green. There we go. You probably noticed that I'd done that. Yeah, let's carry on with these leaves. Forgot what I was doing. But yeah, it is really... Which of those stems is the hyacinth? I'm going to make that one, the bluebell. But yeah, I sometimes feel saddened when I hear people saying, you know, I haven't got any money, but I've just bought this book, and I think, oh, but maybe when you say you haven't got any money, you don't mean you haven't got any money, you just haven't got much money. I don't know, but I find things are even better if you wait for them, and sometimes you change your mind and decide you don't want them after all, you know. So and I know some people say they've got two hobbies, one is colouring and one is buying things, you know. But I've never really been a sort of shopaholic type person. I've never really gone mad buying stuff. It's just not really my thing. My husband, yes, I'm colouring both those bits in. He, I noticed when I just came back from shopping, there was a parcel for him from Jackson's Art. I don't know what it is. Right, I don't think I want to add a second colour to those. I am happy with how they look. But I am going to colour the stems of the grape hyacinths right now. I'm going to use the apple green. I'm not sure if it's going to work. It's quite a different shade of green, but I don't have another bluey green. But I think it might just work because of its brightness. I think it might be okay. Oh, done that with the wrong colour. Never mind. We won't worry about that. Now, I am thinking I'm going to use the that's the denim. No, I think I need the ultramarine. That's an indigo. The ultramarine blue is very purple. I think that's what I'm going to use though. You want a purpley blue for these. I think I've just lost the end of them. There we go. So what I'm going to do is just colour them over lightly first. And do the same for all of them. And then we'll come back through them and do some areas a little bit darker. But I just want to see how they look with just a layer. And then I can work it out really. We always used to have grape hyacinths in the garden when I was little. My poor boys will grow up saying, we didn't really have anything in the garden when we were little. We've got one gerbera daisy plant, we've got a few primulas, crocuses, we have bluebells, they seeded in from somewhere else, and yellow poppies that also seeded in from somewhere else. I'm going to basically darken the top bit of each of these little individual pieces. as much as I can. Oh, sometimes the feverfew grows, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you have some daisies, sometimes we don't. That's it. There's ivy, there's one fern, but the garden is basically gravel because we live in a terrace, which means we've got a house either side of us, and there's a garden along the back. It's like an old back-to-back. So there's a set of houses behind us as well. So our garden's back onto each other, which means that we don't have any access into our back garden except going through our house. Which means that if you have a lawn, you have to carry your lawnmower through the house from the garage, which is at the front, which is not ideal. So nobody has a lawn because it's just, well, there was a lawn here when we moved in, but nobody else had a lawn. It's just too difficult to maintain, so we just have gravel. So I have to weed my gravel sometimes. We have a weed barrier under it, but obviously, well, dandelions seem to get through anything. The bindweed comes through the fence from all sides, left, right and back. It's just attack of the bindweed. It's because it comes across from the canal path, I think. And we sometimes get nettles, which are a bit more difficult to get out. But so we get weeds growing in, and then all sorts of little things that plant themselves, ash trees particularly, plant themselves in our, but we don't want those growing in our garden. They're too close to the house with all those big roots. Our garden is really small. It's well, it's a few meters, I'm not sure, but it takes me about 20 minutes to weed it about 3 times a year. And that's quite enough gardening for me. I'm not a big gardening fan at all. My neighbour across the front opposite us, she loves her garden. She has a really pretty garden. Her plants are gorgeous and I get to see them through my window. It's such an honour. She's lovely. Right, there are our grape hyacinths. I'm really happy with those. I'm not going to do anything too fancy. Now I know we've got these little circular areas drawn on them, which could indicate a darker piece, a hollow piece, a bit of a something. I'm not going to do them. I think I just like them as they are. I'm going to do the nest though. So I'm going to grab a brown firstly for the sticks. That's it, that's the word, sticks. Now I've only got one dark brown, it's the dark chocolate brown, so that's what I'm going to use, simply. I haven't really thought about how I'm going to colour. I think where the sticks are touching another stick, I might just try and make them a little bit darker, and then lighten it up towards a bit that might not be touching anything. I don't know how much that's going to show up though. It was very odd when I was shopping earlier. I was in the queue and I could hear, well, as I approached, I could hear someone shouting. Our local supermarket is usually it's not huge, it's a fairly big one, it's not humongous, and it tends to serve the local area. You know, a lot of people come on foot to shop. You get a lot of older people who, you know, they live locally and they just haven't got a car, so they come on foot. I always go on foot. Well, I don't always. My husband sometimes drives me, but I tend to go on foot in the week. And there was shouting. It was very odd. And I don't know what happened. I never found out, but as I moved forward in the queue, I could figure out that there was this lady who was shouting at a couple of security guards by the door, and she had been shouting at the checkout lady, and I I couldn't really understand what she was saying, but it just sounded like she was saying, I shop here a lot and something or other, so I don't know what happened at all. And by the time I left, it sounded like she was just having a bit of a jolly conversation with someone. Whether there was a misunderstanding, I don't know. But the woman on the till was really shaken up. So I got to the till and asked her if she was okay. And she said her colleagues came to the rescue, so she felt okay now. But I don't know what happened. But I think it's quite a shame these days. People are stressed these days, you know. It's really difficult. And let's come in. I've been really far away. Let's go in a little bit closer for you to finish off the eggs. Poor lady. Right, I am thinking, are we going to do duck egg blue? Are we going to do a sort of light brown eggs? I'm thinking a duck egg blue would be prettier. We don't have one. So I'm thinking, let's go with the peacock blue, but apply it really, really gently. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Really light pressure, so they just look light and pretty. And then we need a little bit of darker area near the bottom where there would be a little bit of a shadow. Like that, but not too much because we don't want them getting too dark. Now you notice I've coloured over the spots. I'm actually going to do those in white, I think. So I'm going to grab a white Posca and just do those in white. I don't mind about leaving the black to show. You might prefer to cover it over, but I think if I cover over the black, it will fade away and you won't even see that there are dots there because my blue is so pale. There we go. Now you could use this white to do some white dots around here, but I think it might just disappear that pink, so I'm not going to fiddle anymore. I'm actually going to leave it like that. So let's come out and have a look at the whole thing. Got our little bee at the top there. So there is our heart-shaped picture. So I had fun. I don't know how long I nattered on for, but I hope that was okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and happy colouring.